Hello and welcome to the TechBrain channel. In this video, I'll be highlighting how to use MCP, Claude AI, to optimize a MongoDB workload. So my MongoDB is running in Atlas, so I've got a cloud instance of MongoDB running, as we can probably see from the screen here. Let me go over here. So this is what I currently have. I have an M10 cluster currently running. It's running MongoDB version 8. And that's the region that my servers are in. It's a 3-node replica set. So what I've been doing is running a workload. And luckily for me, the Performance Advisor, the onboard diagnostics tool that MongoDB provides, has been able to identify that there are some suboptimal queries that I'm running, queries without an index. So if I navigate to that section, I should be able to demonstrate what it is I'm referring to. So I'll go to View Monitoring, and I'll click on the Performance Advisor. Earlier, I was running a series of queries, and these queries have triggered the following recommendations. So what I'd like to do is to compare the Performance Advisor with, say, something like MCP Claude AI, essentially an AI-driven diagnostic tool. I'll show you the configuration that I'm currently running. So I've got my so this is the Claude desktop config that I've currently got. So I've got my MCP servers, I've got MongoDB running, and it's running with that npx command, and these are the arguments that I'm passing in. My MongoDB MCP server connection string, and I'm hitting sample Airbnb. So here's what I'll do. I'll come back over here, and I'll go to this option here where I can look at the tools available with MongoDB. So I can see from that tool list that I've got things that will help me with diagnostics. So for example, explain, and also DB stats. So what I can do right now is provide a query, which is this one here. So I have a query here. If I look at the query, it's got the filter, projection, and how I'm sorting my data. So let me just show you what each of these variables holds. So it's amenities, and I'm using a regular expression there. And I've got bed type, $in, where the bed type is in that list. And obviously looking for first review, last review within that date range. My projection, which is that variable there, says would like to be able to see the bedrooms price, not underscore ID, and address.country. And then the order, that's the order we're sorting on. So bedrooms in descending order, price in ascending order. So if I were to run that operation, this is what the result set looks like. So I have tried to create a large collection in order to be able to stress out or max out the resources on this server. So here's a query output. So I can do a count, but also what I could do is just to show the results. So that was a count before. This is actually going to show us the results. So it count to iterate the cursor. So these are the results that I get. So bedrooms, price, address. And just some more diagnostics I can do here. Let's say db.listings and reviews. And I just count the documents. How many documents do I have in this collection? I should get a fairly good idea of the number of documents here. That's the number of documents I have in the collection. So this will become quite important later on. Because what I'll do also is ask Claude to determine the size of a working set and how much RAM I should have in order for this workload to run optimally. What about indexes? Do I have any indexes? Well, that's the major point here, that I don't have any secondary indexes. So if I do that, you notice that I only have the primary index. Okay, so let's get Claude to work with this workload. So I'll grab everything here. I think I've got it somewhere here. So this is my operation that I'd like to run. So I'll take all of that and go in here. And I'll say for the given operation, tell me what the problem is. And this is a MongoDB operation. Query / operation. So I'll just do that. So we'll wait to see what Claude does. Okay, so next would be to say run the query and gather performance stats. Let's see if there's anything else I can modify to that. So listings and reviews. Yeah, just run it like that. That should be fine. As you can see here, there are various tools that it will use. It will list the databases. So these are the databases. That's the explain tool. And then it's using the find tool, does a count, find, and hopefully towards the end we should see the output. So it's telling us that a total of 13 documents we get from the result. And we can see the details of the winning plan. So currently it's a cold scan. And that's how long it's taking. So key performance metrics. Index usage none. Entire collection is being examined. And that's the efficiency ratio, the query targeting. Query targeting is 0.18%. So this is the number of documents returned versus the number of documents examined. And of course, there is an in-memory sort. So there are quite a few things to optimize here. In the final section, it tells us that the performance optimization recommendations are as follows. We need to create an index on amenities, bed type, first review, last review, bedrooms, and then price. And also there is an alternative compound index. So it's saying if the above is too large, you can go for that. So at this point, we have to bring to bear our knowledge of the ESR rule. How does this recommendation, the equality sort range rule, but also how does this recommendation here compare with what MongoDB provided us when we were in the performance advisor? So amenities, bed type, first review, last review, and then we have these additional fields. So I will make a copy of that. And then I'll head over here. And this is what's being suggested. Now you can see that there is a slight difference between these two suggestions. I'll paste this one here. So we've got amenities, which we can see here is performing inequality. Bed type is actually a range operation. So this is going equality. It's mistaken this for a range. So this is going equality. It's mistaken this bed type for an equality operator, $in for an equality operator, which clearly it isn't. And then we've got first review, last review, bedrooms. So equality, sort, no, that's not sorting. And we then have bedrooms -1. So here's what I'll do. I will steer the tool to say, apply the ESR guideline for the index recommendation. Let's see what that does. Okay, so this is the new index that is suggesting. It still thinks bed type is an equality operator. So we've got equality, sort, and range. So that's a little bit better. That's obviously in conformance with the guidelines that we should be aware of when it comes to compound indexes in MongoDB. Let's do a little bit of steering, additional steering. So we'll say bed type, rather, $in is actually a range operator. Let's see what that does. So it goes back in and does that for us. So now we've got something that actually matches what was suggested by the performance advisor in Atlas. So we needed to prompt this a little bit more, but I think we can see that it's gone and done the job. So clearly the next thing would be to say, I want you to create the index. Now, the thing I love about this is it's able to qualify most of the decisions that it makes, obviously with a little bit of steering from me, the developer, that knows the ins and outs of some of the rules that it might not be aware of. We can get to the right answer. So let's go ahead and create the index. So what I'll do is I'll say, create the optimal index. Is there a tool for that? Say, create the optimal index. It says, yeah, the optimal index has been created. And what I can do at this point is head over here and check whether that's indeed the case. So go to my clusters, browse collection, and click on indexes. So you can see that this is the optimal ESR index that's just been created using Claude. Now that's, so it's amenities, bedrooms, price, bed type. So clearly the index that it created is missing a few fields, as I can see here. So I'll ask it to drop the index with that name. So let me do that. I'll say drop the index named that. So it's using that tool there to get the indexes. Okay, so here we go. There is a limitation there. Unfortunately, the MongoDB tools available don't include a drop index function. So what I can do is just to drop that index. So I'll go here and I'll say db.listings and reviews get indexes. I should be able to see that optimal ESR index. And what I'll do is I'll drop it. So I'll say db.listings and reviews drop index and supply that in. So it's gone. And I'll then come back in here and do a little bit more steering. I'll ask Claude to create another candidate index based on what is the correct index definition. So I'll say create another index based on the following. So let me go up, further up, and here we go. So up here, I can see I've got amenities, bedrooms, and then I've got my range fields. So I'll copy all of that. And see if it does that for me. So those are the keys. I've now got all the keys being present. I'll check here again for the indexes that I have. And I should now see the complete ESR complete index. There are these other candidates. So what I'll do is run my operation from earlier. So this one here. And I'll use explain with execution stats. Okay, that's a lot better. So we can see from here that it's ended up picking the ESR complete index to be able to run this query. And if we look at the summary of the statistics, it tells us that this query has a query targeting of somewhere around 9.